Hello everyone, thanks for joining me in today's video. In today's video, we are going to create this beautiful looking animation which was inspired by Facebook's merging heart animation. So let's get started. Okay, so on the right we have our Firefox editor opened up with live server running on it, and on the left we have Sublime text editor opened up with index.html, style.css and design.txt files. Now in the index.html we have our title tag which just says Facebook's merge heart animation. Then you have two meta tags. After that you have a link to font awesome CDN. I'll put this in the description. You can copy paste this whenever you are using font awesome 5 CDN. After that we have link to our style.css, and then finally we have the script tag which is redundant for this design. So let's get started with the HTML part of the story. For this one we will need two heart shaped icons that will take from font awesome. That's the reason we have included this CDN. First let's create a div tag which will be our container. Inside that we'll create another div tag with the class of circle. So this div will take shape of the circle, and then inside that we need two heart shape icons, and the way we can create this is we can use this I tag. Okay. If I paste this, you will see heart shape pop up on the live server, and we'll need two of them. So let me just duplicate it. For the first one we'll also add another class which just says medium. We'll size this heart little bit medium in size, and then we'll have a smaller one. Right? So that's all we need from HTML. Okay, so now let's go ahead to our style.css for styling. First we'll do some basic styling. As always, padding 0, margin 0, box sizing border box. Okay, let's make our body flex element so that our container is centered. So for that we'll do display flex, align item center, justify content center, and we'll give it. So if I save it now, our container will move to the center horizontally, but currently we haven't made the height of the body as full viewport height. Once we do that, it will get centered here. So the way we can do it is we'll just say height 100 viewport height. Okay, so that's body, and yeah, so body is done. Next thing let's go ahead and style our circle. Okay, so that will just say circle. Let's give it a height of 80 pixels. Same for the width, 80 pixels. How does that look? We can't see it. Let's put background color, that will be blue in color. So there we go. But now it's square, we want it to be circle, so for that we'll do border radius 50%. Okay. Yeah, and our heart needs to be white in color, so for that we'll just say let's make the color as #FFFFFF. Okay, so one kind of disappeared. That's okay, we know there are two of them, right? Okay, what needs to be done next? Okay, let's go ahead and style our hearts. So first one, let's style our medium heart. So remember, this was a class that we gave to first I tag, right? Medium. So let's go ahead and style that. Let's position it. We'll position it. Okay, now we need to position this absolutely, but for that we need to make our circle a relatively position element. So position relative, and then medium gets a position of absolute, position absolute. Let's first center them. So for that we'll just say, I mean, not kind of centering, but let's say we'll give top of 50% and left also 50%. So that will move our heart to a little bit to the center. Now if you want to center this one precisely, then you would use transform, translate -50%, but we don't want to center this, right? So we won't be using it. Instead what we'll do is we want this circle to show up a little bit on the right side, right? To the right top. So for that we'll use transform, and then we'll say translate of -20%, -80%. So that will position it a little bit to the right top. Okay, and then we want a little bit of rotation in this one, so we'll say rotate. How many degrees do we want? We want 15 degrees. Say 15 degree, right? And then we'll scale it a little bit. So scale 2. Yeah, so that makes it a bigger, and then a little bit to the right hand side. Okay, so that's it from medium. Let's size our small. heart, right? Small heart and medium heart. Okay, let's style our smaller heart, which is this guy, this eye tag, right? Which is kind of currently positioned here. You can't see it because it's white in color. So let's position it. We'll use the same positioning things. So let's copy paste, right? There we go. So our heart is currently here. We want it a little bit to the left bottom, right? So for that we need to use same property. So I'll just copy paste this one for a second, and then we want it to be further to the left, so we'll make it 120, and then we want it downward, so for that we'll make it positive 60. There we go. And we don't want this rotation, we want it to be minus 30. Okay, and then scale needs to be smaller, so for that we'll just say 0.9. okay, so that's kind of our steady state of our animation. We have a bigger heart, a kind of medium in size towards right, and then we have smaller one to the left. Now let's go ahead and implement our animation. So for the medium heart, we'll say animation. Let's name our animation big, let it run for 2 seconds, and let the progression be linear, right? And let it run for infinite time. Okay, let's go ahead and define our animation. So we'll use @keyframes, say big. At 50% of animation, we want our heart to be at the center and little bit bigger and without any rotation. So for that, we'll say 50%. And then again, I will use this transform, just copy paste it here. And we want it to be at the center. So I'll just say minus 50, minus 50. We don't want any rotation, so let's make 0 degrees. And then we want our scale to be, we want our circle to be, our heart to be bigger, right? So we need to increase the scale. So let's say we'll put 3.2. See, the animation is already starting to occur on the right. So you can see this heart moves to the kind of center, and then it removes the rotation and it gets bigger, right? But we want to add a little bit of non-linearity. So the way we can do it is we kind of use same intervals in the animation, but we don't let the animation to progress in linear fashion, right? So our intervals are linear, but the progression is non-linear. So for that, I have created 2 more intervals. One is our 0 to 25, then you have 25 to 50, 50 to 75. So in terms of, not 55, 75. So in terms of timing interval, they are all equidistant. But now what we'll do is, in the transform, we'll introduce non-linearity, right? So for 0 to 25%, we'll not let anything significant happen. We'll just let it to move a little bit. So for x coordinate, let it move from minus 20 to just minus 30, and then in the same interval, now it needs to go double the rate, right? So that will give us the effect of that push. Okay, here also from minus 80, let's make it minus 70 only. Let the rotation be done, and then here instead of scaling it to this bigger number, we'll just say 2.1, right? So now you see, right, we are going from, so okay, let's divide this 2-second animation into 4 parts, which we have done, right? 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100. That would give us 500 millisecond for each interval. Now in the first 500 millisecond, it needs to scale just from 2 to 2.1, whereas in the next 500 millisecond, it needs to go from 2.1 to 3. This is what gives it the initial slow movement, and then it rushes to make it of the size of 3.2. Now we need to, after at the 75% also, we need to revert back to this one. So let me just copy, and then instead of this, we'll paste that. Okay. So now we have that kind of push, right? So initially it will go slow and then push, slow and then push. Okay, so this is what will give us the effect of, this small heart kind of merging into this medium heart and making it a larger heart. Okay, so I think that's all we need for the bigger animation, and then we need this smaller heart to have some animation. So let's put that animation. Let's say we'll just call it move, 2-second, linear, and then infinite. Okay, now let's go ahead and define that. So for that, we'll do @keyframes move, and here at 50%, we want our heart to be at the center, right? And let the rotation and scale be as it is. So for that, I'll just copy paste this one, and I'll make it 50%, and here also minus 50. Save it, and there we go. So that's all I have for this video, guys. Let me know if this animation looks good to you. Put it in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.